Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'm your host this week, Hassan, joined as always by co host Tristan.
Oh, that's me.
And, folks, today we're here to help you out because we know some of you have been just playing nothing but Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And you need some other things out there to play.
That's right.
We're here to help you with some recommendations.
That's right.
Like you could play other games such as Call of Duty, Black Ops 7.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, Mobile.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, Warzone.
Yeah.
Or you could go back and play any of the other Call of Duties, like Call of Duty Black Ops 1 through 6. Call of Duty 2.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 3.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare.
Exactly.
Call of Duty, World at War.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2.
Mm-hmm.
Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Ghosts.
Damn right.
Call of Duty Advanced.
That's right, son.
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Hell yeah.
Call of Duty World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Yes.
Call of Duty Vanguard.
Ooh, yeah.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2023.
Yeah. You can play any of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's like all the video games ever made.
Yeah, I'd say so. I was just going to suggest, instead of playing Baldur's Gate 3 for forever, just get laid. That's, yeah. What? You got a face on.
Those are two different experiences, and like Baldur's Gate 3 on your first playthrough, that's like 80 hours of your time.
Yeah, it is.
80 hours of sex is a lot of sex, Tristan.
What are you talking about? I don't think you understand.
I don't know recommending people have that much sex is realistic. It's a lot.
You don't book like a whole week off?
No, for sex, no.
I don't understand.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising.
Look, I don't know what to tell you, man. You're doing it wrong. Well, barring that, okay, if you're not going to have sex for 80 hours a week, and you're not going to play all the Call of Duties, which you should, freaking nerds. Anyway, you should play all the Call of Duties. Maybe play a goddamn Madden. You know?
Oh, apparently,
yes.
Madden triggered something.
Damn right. Yeah, that's right. Emergency notifications and anyway, I knew that was going to happen in the show. Play goddamn Madden is what I'm trying to say. I'm leaving that in. That's staying in.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I can't co-sign playing a Madden.
Okay, well, play a EA game or a 2K boxing game.
Does 2K still make boxing games?
Probably, I don't know.
I know they make is it them or EA? One of them makes a UFC game. I don't know about boxing.
I
think
didn't.
there was one recently. I don't know.
I don't pay attention to that. I just play them, and I'm just like, yeah, I play mainly video games and nothing but. Or, if you want to relive your college life, Halo. Also good.
I'm not a Halo person, so I can't co-sign that one either.
Freaking nerds.
To shoot, the layout of the buttons in those games is dumb, and I do not care for it.
I don't care for your attitude.
Well,
All right, Hassan. Well, okay, fair enough. It sounds like what I should be doing though, because this is not getting through the skulls of the people listening to the show, and also like Baldur's Gate 3. What it can do at the very least is offer up some other CRPGs.
Chinese RPGs?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Specifically all Chinese-based RPGs. Which, I mean, there are some, but I don't think any of them are on this list. Anyway. So, obviously, if you really wanted to, Baldur's Gate 3, I'm not sure if you knew this, Hassan, it's the third game in a series.
Well, technically it's more than the third game.
I mean, well, yeah, there are other ones that kind of like bridge that gap. But realistically, the games that take place within the Dungeons and Dragons framework that are within Baldur's Gate, there's really only 3 of them, unless you're counting the spin-off ones for consoles and that kind of stuff, which there are. And those are pretty good, but they're effectively now at this point totally lost gems. I think you can find some of them on GOG. But good luck.
I don't think the console ones you can. There's one of the spin-offs I think you can, but I don't think it's the console ones.
Yeah.
Those were the Dark Alliance?
Yes, those would be the Dark Alliance games. Yeah.
I think it's been a while since I've had to think about those because I played the PC versions back in the day.
Yeah, it's Dark Alliance. The Dark Alliance games are halfway decent, but those are more akin to your action RPGs. Your mileage may vary, but you could equate a action RPG as a CRPG as well. That's not beyond what you can do with that, but personally, I would say Diablo doesn't necessarily fall within the same realm as Baldur's Gate. Similar aspects, not the same game. So, really what we're looking for is our games that still have, pretty hardline RPG elements, not so much in the action realm, but they're still doing something different and interesting. I kick this off with the one from the title card, Disco Elysium. Have you played Disco Elysium at all?
No. I how to put this? There's a certain kind of RPG that I do not tend to care for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the kind where it just doesn't feel intuitive, is how I would put it. That choice X will then cause action Y or situation Z to happen, kind of thing. Or like the ones where, with some characters, if you repeatedly ask them the same question, eventually you'll get a different answer. But for others, it's like, no, they're only ever going to give the same answer. And so you're always just stuck wondering, like, okay, I don't just want to repeat myself with every single character endlessly to try and figure this out. And Disco Elysium, from what I have seen, kind of seems like that. And I just know I wouldn't enjoy it as a result.
Oh, that's understandable. This game definitely, for sure, relies a lot more heavily on, there's a lack of combat. There is literally no combat in this game, except say for like one single scene where you could, or it's a pass-fail situation where you could punch a guy and win a fight, or he punches you and you never get to fight him again. So either way, the outcome is different. And that's the only fight in the game. And effectively, this is a game where it's more so about talking to people. It's more of an investigative. You play as a cop who wakes up in a drunken stupor, investigating a murder, the murder took place outside of your hotel, and it kind of boils down to learning about this strange facsimile of Earth, but different enough where it's its own fantasy land, where it has kind of a World War II vibe happening in the background, but everything's a little more modern. Anyway, you're trying to effectively solve a murder, and you are possibly the worst homicide detective in the history of homicide detectives. And I think that if you're kind of the person who's like, maybe, if you play a game like this and you feel like the choices kind of don't coalesce as well, because my recommendation for this game is to go in and choose the stats and the personality types that effectively turn you into a madman.
Okay.
Yeah, which I've done enough of with this game. I like the way it rolls as far as what you can do with how you present yourself, and how your inner monologue presents itself. Because there's one called the Homeland Empire, which is a personality type. And what this effectively does, it's your full creative mind just absolutely freaking out on everybody else. And the idea here is that there are different rationales kind of vying for control. And usually it's like your top rationales that want to talk and give you advice and help you through this murder mystery. But if you give Homeland Empire the full focus of the game, it will talk over everybody else and just say absolute crazy shit. Like if you approach the body and you're trying to discuss it with your partner, with I believe his name is Ken Katsuragi, something like that. Great side character. If you approach the body with this guy, you're trying to discuss the body, your personality will scream at you to be like, "Yo, talk about his toenails. Gotta get in there, lick them piggies," kind of thing. Just really obsessed over like very weird details. But Disco Elysium definitely isn't for everybody, and I understand that. So,
I mean, revealing it's for foot fetishes definitely put me further in the not for me camp.
That's not just for foot fetishes, but if you are, this game's got you.
Okay, well, what do we have next?
All right, so let's just bounce off of the whole thing. So Baldur's Gate 3 is based off of Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. Of course, there have been other D&D games out there. Quick recommendation is the Temple of Elemental Evil, Icewind Dale, those sorts of games. Now, what you could do, though, is if you don't really want to stick with the Dungeons and Dragons thing, but you still want Dungeons and Dragons rules, you could look into the Pathfinder games. And I recommend Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Now, for those of you who don't know, when D&D in 2000 in the 2000s was still putting out like 50 million splat books a month to try and get people to buy all the weird little things that they were releasing up until they released the 4th edition book. Their magazine publishing company, Paizo, was publishing like smaller modules for Dungeons and Dragons, and Paizo eventually splintered off and created their own game using the open gaming license that Dungeons and Dragons has, and the game is called Pathfinder. It is effectively, especially with if you play Wrath of the Righteous, third edition, well, 3.5 edition Dungeons and Dragons, with a few tweaks to make it better and a little more accessible, and a little more accessible is emphasis on a little more. It is a very well written RPG. It has a lot of good combat in it. It does have some bullshit that I forgot about from that era of Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons. For instance, in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons and in Baldur's Gate 3, let's say you have some melee characters and some ranged characters who use a bow.
Go on.
If you were so inclined, your build for those ranged characters is going to be more about, using those ranged options. If you don't know that what you should do right off the bat from the word jump is try and spec as quickly as possible into shooting into melee, you're going to have a bad time with that character, and you're going to want to reverse your save and reload it to a point where you can get that feat. It is a necessity, because otherwise you will not hit targets. Period. You could have the highest modifier possible at the time. And if one of your companions runs to melee to try and fight a guy, and you want to shoot that same guy, well, that's too bad. It's not going to happen. So, Wrath of the Righteous is, it's got its problems, especially if somebody is going to Wrath of the Righteous directly from Baldur's Gate 3. Because even though Baldur's Gate 3 has a fairly large amount of the classes, subclasses, and feats from 5th edition, it doesn't have everything. It's kind of curated in that way. But Wrath of the Righteous gives you literally everything from Pathfinder 1st edition. And 2nd edition Pathfinder only came out a few years ago, which effectively means they have like 15 plus years of content that you can use in this game. So when you start making a character, you need to research your character. I'm not selling it very well on that, but what you can do for sure is just, look up a tutorial. I hate saying that, man, that sucks. And trying to figure out how to best play this game, or just use your instincts and try and play it like you normally would. If you're just like, okay, you want to play a wizard, go with the wizard, but there are other magic options, there are other melee options, there's other ranged options, support options, etc. They have tons of classes. They have tons of archetypes for those classes. They don't do subclasses, but they kind of do. And they have different races. Tieflings are kind of a thing, but not really, but they are. And you can play a vampire if you want to, Dhampir. You could, etc., etc. Like, they don't have drow, but because it's a different world. And some of the stuff, of course, is copywritten by WotC from Dungeons and Dragons. So, Wrath of the Righteous, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, is a really good game. Some very tight writing, interesting characters. That barrier to entry is hard to get into.
It's one I've never heard of, but apparently it sold 1 million copies and well reviewed.
It's very good. I really like it. It's if you want to play a game that's kind of like Baldur's Gate 3, and you're willing to accept that not everything is going to have the production values of Baldur's Gate 3, Wrath of the Righteous for sure has your back. It's very well written. It has an interesting campaign module where like one of the things you're trying to do is also send out your guys like across the world to try and like gather resources and all these things. It's a lot more in depth than just you're playing as an adventuring party. You're doing that, but there's other things you're doing as well.
Yeah, realize forgot to ask how much boning is in the two games we've talked about so far.
In Disco Elysium, there's 0.
Okay, never playing that game.
Yeah, and Wrath of the Righteous, there are romances.
How much?
I mean, I've only really done the one run through, so at least one.
All right.
Yeah. So Wrath of the Righteous is very long.
Tentative.
Yeah, well, Wrath of the Righteous is very long. So just as a FYI to people who want to play that one, it's like, Baldur's Gate 3 took me 80 hours. Actually, Baldur's Gate 3 with all the side content did as well. My first playthrough was 120 hours. But Wrath of the Righteous, where I blitzed through that, was 120 hours. So just giving you a heads up on that. Irregardless, I think it is a solid game and people should play it. There are, of course, other ones, and I'm going to put this one in the middle, which is my personal favorite CRPG that actually got me. Well, I mean, it got me and a lot of people actually back into CRPGs because they sort of died for a little bit. And it wasn't until Dragon Age came out that they had a small revival, but Dragon Age, of course, being BioWare, they had more of a BioWare-esque ideal of what a CRPG should be, and it still technically is a CRPG, which, by the way, stands for Computer RPG. While that is still technically a CRPG, it's not quite in the same realm because it's maybe a little too... You're
boxed in more, right? Like,
yeah.
After they moved away from doing Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, I think were both BioWare.
They were.
And you get into your Dragon Age, and even more so your Mass Effect.
Yep.
You can make choices, and they have outcomes, but kind of to what I was saying, it's a little bit more clear, right?
Yeah.
It's, if you save this person, let them live.
Yeah.
The outcome is this mission is going to be a lot easier versus if you let them die, it's harder. It's not quite as spiraling compared to Baldur's Gate, where, you let this character die 30 hours ago, and then that came to bite you back on this kind of inconsequential side mission, but hey, it turns out that was that person's cousin, and as a result of, my cousin died, and that made me pick up the sword, and now this fight is just way harder kind of thing.
Yep. That's exactly it. But, all that to be said, my favorite CRPG ever is Pillars of Eternity, which is Obsidian, who are, if you don't remember it or if you don't know, Pillars of Eternity was Obsidian going like, hey, we're fresh off of Fallout New Vegas, the one everybody likes, and people will just not stop talking about in like gaming YouTube channels, that kind of stuff. But Fallout New Vegas came out, and then Obsidian was just like, you know what? Let's make our own CRPG. And so they did, and they put it out on Kickstarter, which basically garnered a massive Kickstarter following. They released it to like universal praise, and they kept kind of updating the game, like quite a bit. And I also should point out, it's not just Fallout New Vegas. They also do South Park: Stick of Truth. So if you like that South Park game, that's also Obsidian.
It's only the first one, I think, though.
Yep.
I think the second was Ubisoft's own.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Studio or something.
I think you're right. But yeah, the very first South Park game, which was pretty good. Even if you aren't a big South Park person, I think that the game is quite solid. Anyway, so Obsidian never really stopped releasing updates for Pillars of Eternity. They did, but we just got one this year.
Wait, for Pillars of Eternity 1?
Yes.
They made a Pillars of Eternity 2,
They
right?
sure did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
For Pillars of Eternity 1, the CRPG released in 2015, they released an update, which gave this game a turn-based mode. This is where I'm going to lead you into the fact that the majority of these CRPGs back in the day were real-time strategy games with pause. Which means that when your characters encounter a fight, they go off on their own unless you tell them what to do. And it's, of course, very hard to do that in the middle of a fight unless you pause the game and select your options and then go. Now, I really like this system. A lot of people don't. And I can understand why. And that's why in the year of our Lord, 2026, Obsidian gave Pillars of Eternity 1 its own tactical, tactics style pause system, which will like roll your turns. It breaks it down for you and goes, okay, this guy's first, this person's next, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no real time with pause anymore, unless you want to turn it back on. The tactical system is optional. Deadfire, Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, had a tactics system implemented from the word go, which is hilarious in that it was in that game, but they didn't think back then to roll this back into Pillars of Eternity 1.
I mean, yeah, why would you?
Yeah, I mean, like, you could. Well, why would you do it now?
Yes.
11 years later.
I'm wondering that, too.
Yeah, it's freaky. But I don't know. Either way, it's kind of cool that they got this, because I think Pillars of Eternity 1 is one of the best like worlds that I've played in a CRPG. It's got some extremely in-depth lore. The way it's almost like when you, it's got a world that feels like you can definitely live in it. It's not so much like a big mishmash of stuff. There's like really defined lines and veils, and the people, like, it's very clear as to what's happening in the game. As far as like, hey, this person is from this kind of faction, and they discuss things in this way, and when they do, they actually are trying to, convey certain kinds of meanings. Like, for instance, there are like two clerics you get in the game, and one of them is a raving lunatic who likes fire, and the other one, she's more of a paladin actually, is like the savior of a city who like has descended from like godhood kind of thing, and she's there to make the world a better place. And like the way she speaks about like the gods and this kind of stuff is very much like in reverence of them, and they are to be feared and loved, and they would love you back, and all these things. And the guy who likes fire and like is he's got like crazy bug eyes, and he's just like they're bugging out of his head. He effectively tells you about how much he hates the gods, wants you all to die, and that the gods will just basically are there to effectively, smash everybody together and see what happens. And he's cool with it, and that's why he's a cleric. He's a priest. And yeah, he is probably one of the best characters in the game, if it weren't for the fact that this game has multiple awesome characters. Matthew Mercer, Critical Role guy, plays two characters in this game. One of them is like the extremely well written himbo character, who's like the first guy you meet after your party is like wiped out and you're like the last survivor. And he is basically a walking golden retriever man. And he will do anything to help you out, kind of get a bit of a country bumpkin aspect to him. But then the other character that Matt Mercer plays is an elf who has the split personality because he's haunted by the ghost of what is effectively his friend, but is also maybe like a dead barmaid. Like a deep Scottish accent.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's wild. And like this is a wizard who's like trying to cast spells, and every so often he'll go berserk on his own as the barmaid fights through. It wants to do its own shit. So that's an interesting take on rangers. Bards are fascinating in this game because you actually get to like mess with the way they like cast their spells, because it is very musical based. It's not like in Baldur's Gate 3, where as long as you have a lute and you are a bard, you're going to use your charisma to cast these spells, and there's no real difference between wizardry and bardology. It's just different flavors, really, of the same thing. But in Pillars of Eternity, if you have a bard, they're more like the kind of chanter caller kind of character, and their main thing is basically to like bolster the party through their very specific chants, but you have to kind of like keep them in line and make sure they are saying exactly the thing that they need to say. So you have to sort of memorize the patterns they need to do as they're playing the game. Also, the bards in this game are very gun-based. They love a shotgun or a blunderbuss or a rifle, which gives them a fun flavor.
Yeah, I guess bards, it's all about singing, which, that's just air moving, and
it's like a punctuation
makes loud noise, so I can sort of see how you the two go together. Yeah. Now, the important question: how much boning in this?
Plenty.
Okay, great. Number one game so far.
Yeah. This game, there's you can bone down with pretty much any of your companions. I don't think I'd recommend certain companions, but you could. There, like for instance, there's the crazy, likely very unwashed priest who I'm pretty sure you can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No. But I'm pretty sure you can fuck him. Then also there is oh man, I can't remember her name. She's got a great name. She is the ghost of a slain mother.
Yeah, I can bone a ghost?
Yes. But
okay.
I think it kills you. Pretty sure.
I don't. Why is that a problem?
Well, it kills you.
Yeah, that sounds even better.
So you want the death by boning situation?
Yeah.
Snooze death?
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. I'm pretty sure you can do that in this game. So, yeah. I've never tried, to be honest. So.
Coward.
Yeah, well, I kind of figured it would. I know it kills you, so I didn't. I was like, it's probably not worth my time. Well, besides that, I would also like to discuss, because we mentioned Fallout New Vegas, and how could we not with Obsidian on the table? But Fallout 1 and 2 are like masterpieces, and they're from the 90s. And I think it's a damn shame that Bethesda has done to Fallout what it has done. Considering those games from the 90s are like truly fascinating pieces of like post-apocalyptic media and literature in that sense. Like the writing in Fallout 1 and 2, and the fact that you can that they really let you like have your choices matter, especially in the second game. I think it's a pretty well-known thing that in the second game, you can fully convince the last boss to kill himself. And he's this like tactical, like brain in the jar, monstrous humanoid thing that like effectively shouldn't be able to be convinced to do anything, especially like harm itself. And I find it so fascinating that this game lets you just do that. And Fallout 1 and 2 are, I think, master classes and letting those choices truly matter. And why has Bethesda effectively just turned them into Elder Scrolls games?
Because it makes more money.
Yeah, I know the actual reason, but yeah, it still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest problem with Bethesda's style of RPG is that it's like they come up with 50 different, mechanics. And so if it's Skyrim, your character can forge their own equipment, or they can, get into potion making, or I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but like they're all these ones that they come up with, but then you can't use those in meaningful ways, right? It's not like, making your own armor. Well, that then allows you to make some sort of a special armor that lets you, bypass a certain fight or get into a special area you otherwise couldn't enter. Like there's a handful of mechanics, like, stealth or I don't know what they call it, but essentially persuasion, that, those will unlock certain story threads or, paths you can go down. But in general, hey, they only focus on a handful of those, and the rest of them are just irrelevant to the actual gameplay. At least the more modern, right? Like Morrowind, you go back, Morrowind would just let you break that game in insane ways. Oh, you want to put all of your stats into the fireball spell, and so now you create a fireball that is basically a one-hit kill and is unbelievably large. Go for it.
Yep. Yeah, I do miss, to be fair, like I do very much like the spell creation aspect of the Elder Scrolls games up until Skyrim, of course, because Skyrim's spell creation aspect is not there.
It wasn't as good, right?
It wasn't as good, but it definitely was still there. It was way better. Morrowind had the best one for sure. Like you could literally create fucking anything in that game, as far as spells go. And man, I missed that because it gave you a very good reason for getting higher up ranks in the what were they, the mage school. But that's neither here nor there. It's unfortunate what has been done with the Fallout series, in my opinion. I think they were more interesting when they were CRPGs. But if you want a similar flavor, but also like your fantasy stuff, Shadowrun has got your back, and the Shadowrun games are quite good. Shadowrun Returns, Dragonfall, and what's the other one called? Hong Kong. Basically, these are 3 well-crafted CRPG games, more on the tactics side. So definitely, like once you go into combat, you have more of a XCOM style like grid and that kind of thing to move around with. Which is not a bad thing. Like this is more of a tactics RPG or TRPG, not a TTRPG, but a TRPG. But I think it's still within the realm of CRPG. In a sense where effectively these games are using the Shadowrun mechanics, which I don't necessarily jive with, but they've made them accessible in these games. Because the Shadowrun RPG system is a 2d6 system, and it's a little bonkers and kind of doesn't work in my opinion. Others' mileage may vary, but in my opinion, it does not vary. But in these 3 games, though, what they have done is they've taken the world and mostly focused on crafting interesting stories and cool characters, and giving you more of an immersive sim situation, where when you enter an area, because you're not always going into a place guns blazing and getting into combats, that kind of stuff. It wants you to kind of take a subtler approach, because Shadowrunners, which is what they would be called in the terms of this game, are, there are, if you want to like do a 1-to-1 for Cyberpunk, it would be your edge runners, Shadowrun edge runners kind of thing. They pull jobs. They are, badasses in their own right. But they're trying to, effectively just live and do crazy shit to do so. This game has magic. It's a cyberpunk game where you can play as a fucking elf, or a troll, or an orc, or a dwarf if you really wanted to, and you could sling spells and worship gods, but you could also take a like auto shotgun and just gun a guy down at the same time. You could have drones. You could hack into things. The hacking, especially in the later games, because Shadowrun Returns is the first one, but then not Dragonfall. Yeah. In Hong Kong, they really worked the hacking in that game to make it its own thing. So like when you could have a literal wizard standing next to a hacker, and like they had kind of a similar vibe, because like hackers in cyberpunk fiction are usually kind of like they are wizards in their own way, but they're doing very different things. Where like as a wizard in the Shadowrun world, you want to like get into the certain ley lines and move around and like make sure you are in certain positions to make your spells more effective. But if you're a hacker, a net runner in Shadowrun, it's a similar idea, but you're actually dropping a ghostly version of yourself into the network and haunting it to death. And it's kind of a cool. It's really cool. I just wish the systems in the tabletop RPG were better, but these games like manage to make it work, so it's more parsable, and it does the math for you behind the scenes, so you're not trying to rack your brain as to what the hell is even happening. All you gotta know is your number went up, and that's good.
See how it Tristan on his anti-Thaco tirade.
Look, to hit armor class 0 is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You don't need to do the average.
They're so weird to me.
Yeah, it's weird to everybody. Until you really learn it. It's dumb, but it works, but it is dumb.
Nope, you could just say it's dumb. You don't even have to put the qualifier.
I had to put the qualifier on there because I cut my teeth on 2nd edition D&D, so
it's dumb.
It's
we
dumb.
figured out better ways to do that.
You are correct.
Tristan, obviously the most important question: how much boning?
Plenty. It's a cyberpunk world, son. There's titties. So yeah,
Okay.
you can hire prostitutes all you want to.
But non-human titties?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Do you want to fuck a troll?
Yes.
Then yes, Shadowrun.
Look, we've all agreed the troll is the hottest character in the first Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's the three of them in the Hobbit movie are there, and they're like, "Hey, Bilbo, this is like a throuple situation. Do you want to be the fourth?" We know you're very small, but that's to your advantage because you can just get into places. you know.
What
And
Tolkien always dreamed of.
that's right. Tolkien was like, "Yeah, let's make these fucking trolls bone." Yeah. Anyway. Yes, the Shadowrun games are excellent. I fully recommend them. That said, if you want something with a okay, I know, you know, everybody knows that at some point in an RPG, especially ones that have like good and evil mechanics, you're gonna want to try an evil run at some point, right? We all
Sure.
kind of do that, or at least at the very least, we all dick around enough that we do evil things, maybe even by accident. And maybe, just maybe, you don't necessarily want to play Pillars of Eternities. You want to try something else from Obsidian. You could try Tyranny, which uses the Pillars of Eternity system, which is pretty well made and parsable. But Tyranny is you are effectively a general for an evil lord who is systematically taking over the world. Actually has already taken over the world, and you're doing his work for him. You're definitely 100% doing you're doing it. You're a bad guy in that one. It's solid. They have it's a great no good choice simulator, and the only really good choice is choosing your own success as this general, to a point where I didn't get to that point. I didn't finish this one, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure it's leading up to why don't you kill the king and take his place situation.
Well,
obviously.
I can't become an evil vizier.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. I mean, you actually already start off as an evil vizier, technically. So, yeah. But then it's just, becoming an evil emperor instead. Similarities.
Man, the Emperor's been so good to us.
Has he, though? What has he done for you lately,
He's been like a 20-foot tall giant that sits on his throne and consumes 10,000 psychers a day.
Ah, you're referring to the blood god. Is it Krom?
No,
I can't remember his name now.
No. I'm talking about the Emperor of the Imperium of Man.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
No, Korn is different.
So which one's Korn?
Korn is the blood god.
Okay, and what's the Emperor of the Imperium of Man? What's his name?
I
don't know 40K as well.
Because it's always just the Emperor.
Fair enough. That's totally fair. Let's see. We should probably start wrapping this one up. So I'm gonna
wait.
Oh, up.
How much boning?
Well, there are concubines. So a fair bit, but it's more so kind of it's subtle. It's a little tasteful. You know what?
I don't want. I want to work for it.
Mm-hmm. but like you're not gonna have to work for it because you're a general in this emperor's army, and like slavery's a thing in this world, and
I don't know. That sounds like I should be going. It should be the reverse, and I have to try and woo someone good over to the dark side.
ooh, I can't. I'm not sure if that really happens, but I mean that could be a thing. I didn't, like I said, I didn't get to the end of this one, so I got
all right. Well,
fair enough.
Bottom of the list. What else we got?
All right, I want to do a brief mention. Okay, well, small lightning round in this case before I end off with the big one. I think so. Banquet. I can't say that very fast. Banquet for Fools is a brand new game that came out this year that really harvests the feeling of the original Baldur's Gate games. This is for sure a real time with pause kind of game. Just put that out there. But it has an interesting way of doing it. So it doesn't let you pause whenever, because it's a bit of an action RPG where you are still. There's actually a dodge button and that kind of stuff, but you can only dodge so many times before your character gets tired. And what you have to do is the way to pause is when you select an ability or a tactic or an attack or whatever. It pauses and shows you your range of that ability, and then lets you do the attack. And it has this really weird arcade feel to it. Like, it's very strange.
I can kind of see that though, because man, looking at this game, if you just showed me a screenshot without saying anything, I would go like, "Oh, it's Diablo."
Yes,
And
exactly.
Like the UI,
Yep.
even down to like there's
Very
like
old school.
It looks like there's some sort of what not field of vision, but
Fog of War.
like a fog of war that
There
is
is, yep.
very reminiscent of Diablo, where it's
Yep.
like, okay, all right. So I could see how that would lead to them going, oh, we want to make it a little arcadey too.
Yeah, it's got a very arcadey vibe to it. It's interesting. It's hard to describe how this game plays, because like it's got a feel to it. And of all these games, like the real time pause stuff is one thing, and you pause the game, you choose each character you're controlling, and then you go like, okay, do this, do that, you do this, you buff this guy, kind of thing. And in this game, you can do that, but the AI for your companions is good enough for the most part to like keep itself alive and use the best tactics possible. So you just need to just choose one character that you want to focus on and use them. So you don't have to bounce around, and honestly, bouncing around is actually a little chaotic for this game. So it's almost not even recommended. So while you're playing this game, like I said, there's a dodge button and everything's moving in real time, and then you have to kind of like get in there, make your attack, and then kind of bounce. And it's got a weird vibe to it that I do like a lot. I'm gonna say this is a complaint, but at the same time, it's one of the things it does really well. Is this is a game where you're going to want to like write things down as you play it, or like there is actually an in-game notebook on your map and that kind of stuff, and like you can write shit in the game, and you're gonna want to do that because like the main quest will always be like fairly well pointed out in the journals, but any side quests that you're gonna come across are like, that's on you to write that shit down, and you're going to want to, because that's pretty much how you're going to want to progress in your character levels and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's got a weird vibe. It also has a very like Dark Crystal look to it, to everything.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
How much boning?
I have now encountered a single bit of boning in this game so far.
Unplayable. What else you got?
Unplayable. It's very good. You should play it. Let's see. So just to do a quick one here as well. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'll end this way. So the Divinity games. I didn't really. We already mentioned Baldur's Gate 3. A lot's been said about that. The Divinity games are Larian's like previous games they did before Baldur's Gate 3, using their own system. It's a pretty well thought out system. It's all action point based, and I think they did a good job. And I think the world they created is fun and interesting. It's a little. The first Divinity game is a little memey at times.
I assume you mean Original Sin, because there's just the Divinity games.
That is true. Sorry, good point.
Even earlier.
Divinity Original Sin. Actually, the Divinity games, from remembering those, I would say are, I'm going to say unplayable, but I don't necessarily mean that. I just mean that they are weird and difficult.
That's fair.
Yeah. More so like they're difficult to parse, you know? Anyway, the Original Sin games. Original Sin 1 has a bit of like a meminess to it that, you know, it's very much of that time. Came out in 2015 and it just has a very specific vibe to it. But, you know, a lot of interesting things you can do in the game. There are no classes in the game per se, so you can kind of spec your character into doing whatever you want, which I always appreciate. Divinity Original Sin 2 is more of the same. That game did do some stuff that I didn't like. For instance, they made it so no matter what you do, there are shields you have to kind of get past, like people's armor. So, like, if you are a magic user, you have magic armor, and if you are a like a physical damage kind of character, you have actual physical armor. Now, the problem ends up being that what that means is your magic armor always blocks magic, but can't block physical. Your physical armor always blocks physical, but can't block magic. It effectively means that the only way to do those fights is to have magic characters cast spells on physical damage enemies and physical damage negating enemies, and vice versa, where they'll have like people with swords running in to fight wizards and shit. And it's just like it's I don't know, there's a weird imbalance to it that I don't necessarily jive with. Also, there's a point in the game when you first. It's a whole thing where you are on you're a prisoner on a prison ship and it gets shipwrecked. You shipwreck on the prison island you're going to, so like it's like you get freed, but you're definitely not freed. So there's not really any reason for the ship to get wrecked. I don't know why they did that. Anyway, while you're on this prison island, you get your companions, that kind of stuff. But one of the things you do get is a cat. And then, like, if you come too close to the guards, they will kill your cat. And it's just, I don't know. Just wasn't liking that one. With that said, though, from what I've seen from my partner playing it, she loves that game. And effectively, from what I've experienced through her, it is some of the best written, like, lore-wise that Divinity has ever had. So, you know.
How much boning?
I haven't experienced any part of that, so I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
Okay, fine. Anything else that's worth playing?
All right. Capping this off. We did Tyranny already. I could mention Celasta, but Celasta. Celasta's pretty good. Celasta's basically It came around the same time as Baldur's Gate 3, but it definitely is a game from a small team, let's just say. But it uses the D&D 5e rules, so but if you want the entire suite of classes and subclasses and races, you're going to pay for those because it's in pieces in DLC style. Irregardless, Planescape Torment is the one I want to cap this off with. This is a I think it came out in 2000, like early 2000s, like if not 2000. And this is a game that Disco Elysium for sure took a lot of beats from this game, because even though there are lots of fights and interesting mechanics as to how to convey a fight in that game, Planescape's biggest thing is talking and discussing stuff. And I think that's really cool of it, because especially during that time, there weren't a lot of games in the CRPG realm that you were more so concerned with having a cool discussion with a guy over, I want to chop his head off. And Planescape is the best world to do it in. How can I put this? Planescape is about factions. And it's not just normal factions. It's okay, here's your factions of the mafiosos, and here's the police, and here's the thugs who are kind of on the outskirts, and here are here's the hick gang that they sell moonshine or whatever. There's none of that in this game. Sort of. Each faction is effectively based on a esoteric ideal, like a philosophy. And the point of this is that they embody that philosophy to an extreme. They are the most of that. So if you were let's say you're a Marxist, for instance, if you were in the world of, it's not called Doors. I keep wanting to call it Doors. It's not called Doors. But if you're in the world of Planescape Torment, and you are a Marxist, you effectively are the most Marxist possible. No ifs, ands, or buts. You lose pretty much everything else that made you a person, and you're just the Marxism side of things. Or, yeah, let's say you believe heavily that, it's the only way to wear your hair is up in one big spike. Just one big Vegeta spike. Let's say that that's the way you believe it, and that's the only thing that can be possible. And that becomes your whole identity. And what effectively this means that your character, you're wandering around and you're talking to people, and the main thing is that you're learning about all the weird, stupid shit in this world. And they think you're a freak because you don't have any affiliation to any one specific thing. Because there are wars fought over whether whether you should let your fingernails grow 1 inch past your cuticle, or you should cut them, or if maybe there are wars fought between hey, is milk possible?
Is this another fetish game of yours?
You could view it as a fetish game, yes, if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And in that case, yes, Hassan, there is boning.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there are whole hedonistic factions.
All right, it's #1 game so far.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we're capping it off, because I figured that's there's nowhere to go down from here, so
Great. Well,
yeah.
You tell people where to find us. That note.
I'm glad I chose that one at the end. Yeah, you should go to our Blue Sky, which is at EIFNAR. Listen You can't listen to us there. What am I talking about? Go there and yell at us. Do stuff. Maybe, I don't know, call your mom and tell us we're there. Tell her we're there. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
In fact, you should go to our, iTunes, Spotify pages, listen to our show. Maybe go to the YouTube channel, and maybe if you really, really wanted to, like and subscribe. I don't care if you do. It's a suggestion. Just maybe. I'm not like saying you should. Maybe you should though. While you're at it though, you should also, like, if you're showing your mom our Blue Sky account, maybe you should also make her view the show, listen to it, kind of thing. And her friends and your friends. If you get her knitting circle involved in listening to our show, that would be dandy. We're very knitting lady friendly. Maybe.
Look, if someone's mom wants to knit us a sweater, I'll wear it. I don't know.
Son will wear that sweater. Doesn't matter what it is, he will wear it. Just nodding. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna wear it. Anyway. Besides that, you should go to friendsdjday.com. That's good. There's some music. DJDane.com. Listen to his great tunes. And if you want to knit him a sweater, he won't wear it. Or if he does, I'll never know. Because I haven't physically put eyes on the guy in a long time. So, either way, sweater time is now? Yes.
If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another Estimator episode of Everything is Fine, Everything Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
Say it.